Hello everyone, my name is Heather and welcome to the channel Bookables. Today I am here to do a tag. If you thought that the summer months were going to go by without me doing a summer tag, you thought wrong because you know your girl is seasonal. Today is a brand new tag, I believe, that I haven't seen a lot of people do. It's called the Summer Bucket List Book Tag and I love the questions on it. I saw this on Megan's Reading Revolution. I believe she created the tag. If not, I apologize, but I will leave the link to her channel down below for you to check it out. So let's get on to the questions because they're summery. We're in the months of summer where I live, which means 95-degree weather, but also humidity, which means it's 95 technically, but it feels like 105 outside, which means that I want to melt away. Hit the Beach, a book set by water. So this one, I was like, I have a lot set by water, but keeping with the whole beachy thing, of course, I feel like I have to go with The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. My favorite book of theirs. This is about two characters that have to go on this fake honeymoon because the bride and groom can't, and it's set in Maui, so they go to the beach a lot. It's set in this beautiful tropical place. It's a great hate to love romance, and I mean, the cover wins for all of the summery covers ever. I love it. I'm sure you've read it. If not, you probably should. Next up, we have Watch Fireworks, a book that had a spicy romance. For this, I had to go with a recent one that I've read, Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. This is the sequel to Secretly Yours, which I did not love. I definitely loved this one to it. This one is another hate to love romance, a fake relationship as well, like a fake marriage about August and Natalie. They get married to kind of benefit them both, and steam happens like pretty much immediately in this book, and it was chef's kiss. Loved it. Go for a Road Trip, a book that has a journey. Well, what do you know? I recently did a video on road trip reads, books that feature road trips, and for this one I'm picking one that is not necessarily a road trip, but it has a journey, and that is 80 Days to Elsewhere by Casey Dyer. I read this in 2020, I believe, when I read like so many books because what else could we do that year? And this is all about a girl that gets a job that where this company kind of I don't know how to explain it. They kind of redo the classic books. Like there's that classic book Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne, I believe, and a guy wants to redo that. And so instead of just sending him on a random slew of journey, they hire people to kind of write it all out. And so she wants this job because she wants to do it because it's traveling, but the only rules are she can't do anything that's like up to date like travel, so she can't go on an airplane. I think cars are in play, but she takes like a vest, she takes like a steamboat, she takes like a car. It's just a really fun thing to do because she really does go around the world in 80 days, and it is really fun. It's a fun read that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but I loved. A great journey book for sure. Next up is Camp Under the Stars, a book that left you starstruck. For me, this is a book that I'm going to say that really surprised me, that I was not expecting to love as much as I did. And for this one, I'm going to pick In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. I read this book on a whim a few months ago. I heard about it a little bit and I read it, loved it. Like, I feel like indie romance has really come into play this year with TikTok making them popular and stuff like that with good reason, but not a lot of people talk about this one, and I'm like, why? This was so freaking good. Small town, on a farm, like kind of second chance love. So good. Yes, it is long. Most Kindle Unlimited romances books you're going to find are freaking long. This one I devoured. I loved it. Definitely left me starstruck. Is Marathon Some Movies, a book you couldn't put down. Of course, I'm going to have to go with The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This is one that everyone talks about. You know, it's really being blown up, and you know, it's true. I really couldn't put it down. When I started it, I was really invested in it. It was very fast paced. There were a couple slow parts. For the most part, the plot kept moving along at a brisk pace, especially with the whole thing being about dragon riders and stuff. Like, I was interested in it. So yeah, I couldn't put it down. Like, I finished it, I think, in like 3 days, which for me is pretty freaking fast. Next up is Go Out for Some Ice Cream. I love ice cream. A book with a sweet romance. For this one, I am definitely picking The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I loved this book. This had such the sweetest romance. It is a long book, and it is a slow burn romance, like the slow burniness of them all. Is that the right way to say it? Probably not. But either way, I loved the romance. Like, it felt organic. They first became friends, then they became confidants, then they finally got into the love territory, but it felt so real and raw and not rushed at all. It felt like an actual organic relationship. I loved it. If you're looking for a sweet romance, a slow burn romance, you definitely need to read this book. It's Picnic in the Park, and that is a book that was a breath of fresh air. Of course, for this one, I have to look for it. Of course, for this one, I'm gonna have to go with my tried and true, The House by the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I always say this book is the epitome of a warm hug, a breath of fresh air. It's like a fantastical book, but it's easy to read, and it is just amazing. If you have read a lot of dark books, because sometimes I do, sometimes I'm in the mood to read a lot of thrillers, and then sometimes like I get in that funk where I'm like, oh gosh, I need to get out of this like different genres. This is a great book to read. It's just so amazing, such a breath of fresh air. You will not be disappointed in it whatsoever. Then we have Go for a Hike, a character that conquered an obstacle. I mean, there's so many. I mean, Fourth Wing, she definitely conquered a lot of obstacles in this book, but I'm going to try to go with something different. I'm going to have to say Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is a book about a character, Daniel, who suffers with a lot of social anxiety. We also have Brianna in the beginning of this book going through a divorce. They both kind of had to overcome an obstacle. Will he ever really conquer his social anxiety? Not really. Is it an obstacle that a lot of us deal with? Yes, and it's something that we kind of have to just self-trajectory, like kind of figure it out for ourselves. But he definitely worked on it a lot. Brianna, definitely, her divorce and her bitterness towards a lot of men figures in her life was definitely an obstacle that she had to work on in this book, and both of them really came together and worked on themselves and worked on themselves with each other, and it was a beautiful love story that I would highly recommend. Grillsome Barbecue, a book featuring delicious food. What do you know, I did a video about this too, because I love those videos. First up, one of my favorites that I talk about all the time, Kiss My Cupcake by Helena Hunting. Why I still don't have a physical copy of it is a true tragedy in my opinion. But it's about a girl named Blair who opens up this kind of booze and cupcake store. And so each chapter, she talks about a different cupcake with a different like alcohol beverage. I was more interested in the cupcakes probably, but it was just delicious. There was a great romance in it that was steamy, but I really enjoyed it. Also with that, I know we are in summer, but that's not the question. The question is a book that's featuring some delicious food. This series right here, man, let me tell you. Shop at Pumpkin and Spice, I purchased several years ago because the cover. Like, if you want Heather in a cover, this is it. Like, look no further. 100% fall, baked treats, pumpkins, warm colors. This is me. This is a short story collection taking place in this small town, and it features a bakery in it, and it's got all these delicious sweet treats. Is it the best book I've ever read? No. Will I keep it forever because of the cover? Yes. Likewise with The Cafe Between Pumpkin and Pie. This one, I don't love the cover as much as this one, but still, the food in it, fall. And the last question we have is Watch the Sunrise, a book that inspired you. I mean, for me, I feel like a lot of books inspire me, but the one most recently is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This is all about a character that really wants to become a mom, and she wants to adopt this child that goes to her school because he lost his parents recently. And just, she puts him first in everything. And it reminded me of a true mother and how hard it is to be a mom, and even the obstacles it takes for not only just, it's hard. It is so hard if you want to have a child biologically. Sometimes fertility doesn't work out. I know that firsthand. And sometimes if you want to foster to adopt, much like Lucy in this situation, it's also very, very hard financially figuring things out if you want to, it's a hard situation. So Lucy inspired me so much to be better as a person and as a mom, and just, it was such a breath of fresh air book too as well. I loved it. It's about this game. It's very much inspired by Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. If you've read that book, you should definitely watch the movie, G Mauder version. You should definitely read this book. I loved it so much. So there you have the Sun's Out, Books Out book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed and got a little bit of a glimpse into what I've read recently, summer books, all of those many things. Again, I'll leave the questions down below in case you want to answer the questions, in case you want to answer them. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.